Greetings and salutations, one and all. Welcome to another exciting week of Fractured Orders, episode 10. Glad you all could be here. We finally hit double digits in our episode count, and for that, I am very grateful to all of my players and all of my watchers. I really appreciate that, because you guys are the real reasons why I do this kind of stuff, so thank you. It has taken us 9 episodes to get through the first couple of little adventures, but now we will be moving on to even greater things, I hope. Certainly hope. Unfortunately, we're going to be down one player today. Toasty was unable to make it today just due to other personal concerns, which is totally fine. Sometimes we here understand that life gets in the way, certainly a lot more than probably we want it to. However, we're not gonna worry about that, because we're gonna worry about the next step in the great campaign that this is. So as you can see, we're still waiting on Kai, who is putting the children's to bed, last I heard, and he will be on quite shortly. I also realized that I need to change the game really quick. Let me go ahead and do that, so that I can proper. Anyway, I hope everybody's had a wonderful week. Awkwardly, if you're watching this as a recording, if you're keeping up with it live, at least on YouTube, this is going to come out like right away after the other one, because apparently this week I totally forgot to even post videos. Like, I just forgot. Like, not that like I didn't have time or that like I was procrastinating. I literally today looked at everything and was like, oh shit, I forgot to upload anything to YouTube today. So I'll be doing a lot of uploading as soon as this game is over, now that I've realized that. I'll be doing quite a bit of uploading, which actually makes me realize that this is not episode 10. This is totally episode 11. Totally is episode 11. I apologize to everyone involved because I didn't upload videos. Happens. So if you're keeping up with this on YouTube, congratulations, I guess. Welcome to episode 11. Without further ado, let's go ahead and turn on Discord. I'm trying to stall for time, basically, until Kai can get here, but that's okay. We're going to turn on Discord, we're going to see how everybody's been, and get the stories from everybody.
Okay, well, you don't get an extra Force Destiny point at the start. Like the Lightside Paragon is okay. At Lightside Paragon above 70, you get the extra Lightside Destiny point. If it's above 80, your strain threshold is increased by 1, and then if it's above 90, you get an extra strain threshold. It's a very minor thing, and Dark Side, you. Where's the Dark Side Paragon? Your strain is reduced by 1. Wound threshold is increased by 1. And you get a Dark Side Destiny point, and then it goes again to decrease your strain threshold, increase your wound threshold.
So basically, being super dark or super light overall doesn't actually have huge mechanical impact.
Right. It's mostly a narrative thing, which is fine. I do wish there was more of a mechanical impact. As long as the player is like, because I know it's very easy for players to get into the trap of like, well, I don't think I'm not going to give myself conflict. I think the GM has to do that for me, and then starts to, because there is a mechanical thing to that, then they start fighting it, and that's completely against the theme of it. So, you know, it's what do you do? Do you have a mechanical thing that can be power gamed, or do you not and have no consequences?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
We wasted the perfect amount of time so Kai could get here. So
Hi.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
All the children apparently cooperated fairly well then.
Yes, they are. I'm not sure if they're asleep yet. They're all in their beds.
After you close the door, that's kind of like your requirement, right?
Yeah. So they are behaving nicely.
Fantastic. Good. It's good to see you all. Obviously, Toasty's not going to be here, unfortunately. So the part will be played by myself as well as can be established. And in more exciting news, before we get to everybody's week, we are we're moving on perhaps from our old storyline until it comes back to bite us in the butts again at some later point, I assume. But regardless, we will certainly get to what that means for you all in just a moment. But I want to know how everybody's been. So, Endless, why don't you tell us how your week has been?
Oh, I've been fine. Nothing that eventful. Just going on with higher education life. Also, life as always with people I've met in the UK and just hanging around and stuff. And yeah.
Are you still enjoying your time in the UK?
Yes, I am, and I can't really change because this is the best place to be.
You know what? Getting the best place to be on the first go round is probably pretty good.
Yep.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, since Kai decided that he had to go. I assume fight with children who are opening their doors. Milan, hello. How are you? Tell us about your week.
My week's been pretty shit. Actually, it's been good and bad. Monday was really good. Kind of agreed a deal on a property, and then that was all happy. And then Tuesday, they let us know that some of the things they told us about the property weren't true anymore, which were things that are consequential but not so consequential to cause a major upheaval. So it's just like little nitpicking stuff that has to restart again, which I hate. And then one of my jobs is just completely fucked. They asked me to come by on Tuesday to do cabling. I went there with all my cabling tools, and the cables are nowhere near ready. So they're like, oh, but you know what? We need the speakers in by the end of the week as well. I haven't any of my speaker tools, so I came back today with all my speaker tools. None of the cutouts have been done. I did the cutouts myself. There's joists going through all of them. Yeah, so I have to go back there tomorrow, but it's been a long and stressful week for me.
I'm sorry to hear that, but now at least, at the very bare minimum, you get to participate in
exactly
this wonderful game of Star Wars that we're going to play for the next 4 hours.
I can't wait.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. I always like moving into like new exciting territory that we haven't really done before. But in addition, the way that I operate is any creative person or any person that does anything like any type of creative works, they'll tell you this. I'm pretty sure it's a standard. Is you go through long periods where you have nothing. You just don't have anything. Like it's all just reused, rehashed everything, and then all of a sudden you'll find like a couple of things. And then literally you design like this entire thing, like this entire sequence of events that occur after that. And then you realize like you could literally, in like a specific case of RPGs, at least for me, you'd be like, yeah, this could be the whole campaign if I wanted it to be. So I had one of those moments this week, so it's gonna be good. I always like walking into my game when I have that kind of back.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. Kai, is Kai back? No, he's not. Okay, Z, hello, how are you?
Hey, pretty good. My condo is finally done. I have a place to live that isn't covered in plastic with holes in the wall. So
oh, that is a good thing. That feels like an accomplishment.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say it. I would have killed to have holes in the wall today.
True. Good point.
Yeah, so been really, really happy about that. Been working about cleaning stuff, kind of getting stuff reorganized because it's been like a month and a half, and yeah, that's a really good feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. Any sense of, I feel like any sense of like progression is always rewarding, regardless of whether or not it's like from a good thing or a bad thing, right? Like even if it's like working through some like really difficult shit and you have progression, it feels good. And even if it's like, okay, the good thing, you know, I've completed the good thing, and that feels good as well. So, yeah, that's awesome. Great. As for me, besides doing a lot of work outside of my actual work, whenever I typically use the word work, I mean working on my games, because I treat that very much like a job in how I do it. So I call it work because it also then motivates me to actually like, oh well, you know, I can't really call it a work. I got to do work today. But actual work has been busy as well. In addition to the fact that I started rewatching Naruto. For those of you who don't know what Naruto is, it's probably one of the most popular animes, at least cross, like, probably one of the most, if not the most popular cross culture animes. And that's been great. I've been catching up on The Voice, which is basically the only reality TV show I ever watch.
I used to love that shit.
Yeah, so like those don't know what The Voice is. It's basically the whole premise is people are initially judged to make it on the show based purely off the way they sound, as opposed to like how they look or you know, what their performance is like. You know, what
Who are the judges in the US one?
Well, it always changes. The two that are constant are Adam Levine from Maroon 5 and Blake Shelton are the two like full-time judges, and then the other two switch every season.
The season of the UK one I watched had Will.i.am.
Who
I
think he's one of their standards. Yeah.
Yeah, and then had this other guy who's from this guy who's from this other lesser-known band, and I would love the part where they were like when they did the turnaround thing, because this other guy would just wait until Will.i.am was gonna turn around, and then he would also turn around, and it was like so obvious.
Yeah.
I found it hilarious.
This season, Jennifer Hudson, who is part of The Voice UK, who actually I think she won last season as a coach. She's on it, and then Miley Cyrus is the other one, the other coach this year. So
no, that's Cyrus. Not her. I mean, not Miley.
Was that English? I'm sorry, I didn't. You were you like mumbling? I'm sorry. No, I'm actually serious.
I was saying no, not Miley.
Oh, actually, to be fair, like there's probably a point in my life where I would agree with you. Watching her on that show, it's not her PR stunt. She actually gives a shit, and she is actually really smart about a lot of things. And it gave me a new respect for her intelligence. Now, she may not be the greatest person ever when it comes to like her performances or her morals, let's say. But when she's the coach, I actually really enjoy watching her and the way she coaches people. She's really good at that part of the job. So there you go.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah,
I haven't watched it, so
yeah, you definitely have to watch it. I think that anyone who like isn't a Miley fan because she's absolutely banana shit insane, watch that show and then gain perhaps a new respect for the fact that that's probably a character she's playing as like her persona, but she's actually like a, you know, she does a really good job.
It's really interesting when you see people who play characters in those roles, because a really good one I always think of is when Chael Sonnen coached one of the Ultimate Fighters, and he's like always like a kind of like an annoying, big mouth kind of braggart, and when he was a coach, he was an amazing coach.
Yeah,
like I was just like, wow, I want to be coached by Chael Sonnen, and I hate Chael Sonnen.
Yeah, absolutely. The only other ridiculous thing that happened for me this week is literally Hello Kitty. Literally
Sorry, she's a little whiny for some reason.
like 5 minutes before I started the stream today, I realized I just forgot to upload videos to YouTube this week. Like, it wasn't that I was like procrastinating or like I was busy and doing other things or that like I didn't have a chance to do it. No. I was like, oh, let me go look. Let me make sure, like, let me check the folder that everything goes to. Like, I'm just doing my like pre-stream checks and I'm like, why are all these videos here? Oh, I didn't upload any of this shit this week. So after this session, I will spend the rest of my night uploading all of the videos from last week, and then also uploading this video to get them all in there. So I don't know why I just totally forgot. I guess my life is crazy enough that is a thing that I can forget, apparently. So, Kai, are you back? No. Okay, good. Kids are still awake. That's totally fine. We'll find out what's going on with Kai when he gets back. I'm sure it involves children and probably cabin trips and. Honestly, Kai lives pretty much the ideal life, I feel like.
Yeah.
Does anyone else feel like that? Like,
yeah. Other than like kids, because I'm not interested in kids, Kai's life seems pretty legit.
yeah, I agree. I think that we are all perhaps a little jealous of the way that Kai lives his life. We'll have to throughout the next years that we're playing together, learn all of his secrets. So they can all be
That's one. Live in Scandinavia.
Right, yeah, okay, yeah, good. Yeah, let's just move. Let's all just move. That sounds...
Have considered.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
we
there
could
he
start
is.
a Star Wars playing commune in Scandinavia. I'd be
right.
really up for that.
Kai, we were all discussing about how you pretty much live, like, the dream life. Like, you just get to go on camping trips and, you basically just get to, do whatever you want. Pretty good.
oh well, no, not exactly, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah. You have every right to be. I assume that was a child emergency, but you are back.
Yes, the youngest one needed to go to the bathroom, so.
Acceptable.
Yeah.
How's your week been? Tell us all about it.
Great. We were, up in the cabins during the weekend. We had football training and floorball training, and today we had like a gathering from friends. Kids have friends over. We had 10 kids in our house. Got to play an RPG with them. It was great. Good fun. Good week.
You said good fun,
Yeah.
but also I feel like that sounds awful.
No. Thing is, when I get to run RPGs for kids, it's like they have such a great imagination.
Yeah.
It's the kind of thing you want to train your players to have when they're adults. You don't need to train them to have that again.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's what we all try
to.
to.
Limits. They just ask to do the impossible, and it's always.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely certain games that tie themselves well to that.
Yeah.
This one in particular, I think, is probably really good about that. If you were to play this style of game, it's just like, especially for kids, because you'd be like, okay, take this many of that color and this many of that color.
Yeah.
Right, like, and just roll those, and we'll see what happens.
And they usually respond really well to, well, you didn't succeed, but something good happened.
Right.
You did succeed, but something bad happened, and they come up with great ideas.
Well, that sounds awesome. However, I know everybody is excited to kind of get in and see what the next step is. I've been reading all of the chit chat in Orders chat. I appreciate you all working so hard to like build a direction. That helps me out a lot. Obviously, it gives also me a direction to go in. But on a more probably mechanical note, let's talk about your character specifically for a moment, and I'll start with you, Endless. Has Dash received anything for his experience that he's gained over the past couple of sessions? Do you upgrade anything?
My
points in anything?
second rank in Galaxy Mapper, I think. Yeah, I put a second rank in Galaxy Mapper.
Awesome. And what does that do again, just to remind everybody?
Basically, whenever my character Dash makes an astrogation check, basically you're just like traversing, space. He removes one black dice, And now that I put a second one, if there is a second black dice he put due to situations or environmental or stuff like that, I can say like, oh, but I have second rank, so get those black dice away. And also, there's a thing where it when you person would astrogate, but Galaxy Mapper does the extrogation half the time. So if it's 2 times half the time, is that like 4 times half the time? Or
Yeah, it'd be
how does that
25.
work?
It takes 25% of the normal time it would take.
Okay,
It's half
see.
of half, right?
half of half.
Cool. Awesome. So yeah, you are really good at, in the heat of the moment or under particularly stressful or environmentally stressful situations, at planning navigating a route and executing it. So that's great. Awesome.
Uh-huh.
The crew needs you to be, I think, in a lot of situations. So moving right along to Kai, did Kin pick anything up for his experience?
Yeah, he got to dedication just at the bottom of the skill tree.
Oh, nice.
Wow. And what does that
Well,
do?
Well, I can gain 1+ to a single characteristic, which is the base attributes. So I got 1+ in brawn.
Nice. So what are you at, 4 now?
4,
Fuck.
yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it's four green dice just base. That's
Yeah.
pretty good. You'll definitely
And
be
I
the
also, yeah,
most capable in that category, I would say, in the party.
yeah, I hope so. And I managed to get a martial grace, which allows me to suffer 2 strain to add damage equal to ranks in coordination. The next roll check.
Nice. And how many ranks do you have in coordination? So what's it like?
2.
Okay, so basically 2 strain for 2 extra damage on your attacks. Pretty good. I like it.
Yeah.
You are indeed going to be a martial arts threat to be reckoned with, I think.
Yeah, I'm thinking I want to keep it unarmed, so I really need to pump some points.
Yeah, you're not gonna have the advantage of having the higher like base damage weapons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Totally. Cool. Mulan, let's talk about Jax. Did Jax spend any of his points?
He did. He did. Jax picked up a 3rd rank of ranged light.
Nice.
Yeah, I figured. I thought about taking some of the funner talents, but I decided really he just likes to shoot gun good.
Yeah.
So
Just
he
want
now
to shoot.
shoots gun better.
You just want to shoot more better.
And I had 5 spare experience after that, so I picked up actually before our conversation earlier, but thinking moving forward, he wanted to do some research into figuring out some of his own stuff. I picked up a rank of underworld knowledge.
Oh, nice. Good. Yeah, that definitely is fitting with your character, I would say.
Yeah, I just figured like I have the streetwise stuff, but I needed something. I thought Underworld was better than Outer Rim for Jax. So.
Well, awesome. Yeah, I like that. I like that choice. It definitely. I think me as a GM just likes knowledge checks to then like spout some lore. But it also is kind of a way that I gauge whether or not you're allowed to know certain things about how things work, or if I can kind of keep it a secret. So I really like knowledge checks just in general. Cool. Moving on to Z, did you spend your experience on anything yet?
Yes.
Excellent.
Finally got my 2nd force point, which is gigantic. And then I figured I wanted to be able to do some fun with it, because a lot of force powers have like modifiers that you can do with extra.
Right.
And I hadn't really gotten much because it's really hard to put a modifier when you can only get a maximum of 2. So I got the strength upgrade for move. So now if I spend a force, I can increase the silhouette of an object I can lift.
Cool. So that's up to 1 now, right?
Theoretically, I can lift a starfighter.
What's so the maximum silhouette you can? Oh, right. If you roll those a bunch of extra force points.
Yeah,
I got it.
So if I roll 4 force pips, I put 3 into there, go up to silhouette 3, which should be like a small starfighter, I think.
Yeah, I think the smallest starfighters, definitely like speeders and stuff for sure.
Yeah.
and definitely any humanoid, right? Like that's for
yeah.
sure.
I
Outside
can-
of like super big humanoid, like super big like alien creatures, right? Like that might be the only like you're not gonna move a crate dragon, but
No, that's like 4.
at least, yeah. But cool, awesome. Also, I think that it's important to note as well. Now, if you had a commit skill that allowed you to commit dice, you could commit dice and then still have a force dice to use on other skills, which is super, super important, I feel.
And there's a lot of commit force powers in the healer tree, which is why it's like all useless to start with.
Yeah, there are a lot.
Figure.
So, but that's great. You are going to be even more powerful in that now. That's awesome. That's exciting for sure. I don't know about Mouse. We will find out about Mouse. I noticed that there was some experience that might have been spent, but I don't know where. I don't know where Toasty spent it, so I'm not gonna say for sure. So we'll move on from that on to the next and possibly most important thing of the session, just because it's I don't know why this is so fun. It's like kind of tedious and doesn't really matter a whole lot, but I always like seeing where the destiny is. For the start of the session. Now we're gonna get a free light side. Put that in there, and then let's just begin rolling all of our destiny and see what happens. See how powerful the light and/or dark side is today.
Yeah.
I'll roll for Mouse. That additional black dice, I'm assuming. Yeah, there we go.
Yep.
Perfect. It's like I planned it. However, what this does mean is that the light side is quite powerful. Quite outweighs the dark side right now, and you know I'd like to think that that's probably residual from how well the last kind of the ending of our arc went. Right, the ending of our little adventure with Lucia Janice and company. You guys got possibly like the best scenario outside of a couple of little things that occurred, right? Like even though you guys tried to help negotiations, we know that Lucia Janice got a little bit of an upper hand on it. But that's kind of because it's just the person she is, right? Like it's just always going to be really hard to beat her when it comes to that sort of thing. But you at least were able to kind of settle the tensions between the two groups, which was the point, and you did so peacefully. And I think of that as like a big boost to your reputation, at least with those two groups as mediators and people that are trustworthy, because you held to all of your ends of the bargain. However, there was an incident that occurred that kind of made everyone question a little bit about what exactly was going on, where this mysterious robed figure arrived kind of towards the end of your arbitration, and essentially engaged Lucia Janice in an attempt to retrieve her necklace. And during that process, I would say that while it was pretty clear that he was going to probably get it anyway, you all definitely assisted, or by you all I mean Xian definitely assisted him by ripping it from the neck of Lucia Janice and kind of tossing it over to him, probably saving Lucia's life, to be fair. That is a thing you probably did, at least from how you guys viewed the situation, I assume. There was no doubt that individual, whoever it might have been, and it's not like he introduced himself by his name or anything like that, whoever that individual is had no qualms with engaging in combat, right? Like, and I think that that's significant in the fact that, like, there wasn't a whole lot of talking that happened. There was the hand it over, immediately, and then there was the no, and there wasn't any negotiation out of that. It was simply, I ignite my purple lightning lightsaber and I kill your Vornsker with rapidity, perhaps would be the proper term. And I think that there was definitely some interesting dynamics between what the group was doing. We weren't sure who we were supposed to protect. We weren't sure what was going on, and in the end, the individual ends up departing. But the significant thing here is that he looks at, he looks at you, Zian, and thanks you on behalf of the centrality, right? Like, that was kind of the, like, big determination of what was going on. And with that being said, that kind of lends perhaps some plot hooks or adventure paths to take in the future, or at least some knowledge of kind of what was happening there. Also, while your character may not know this yet, you did gain some obligation because you did help him, like, essentially take this thing from Lucia, and Lucia's not very happy about that, for obvious reasons. Or maybe not so obvious reasons, I could say. So there's definitely more to the story there that may or may not come up. There's, that small 5% chance that it might come up, but 5% is greater than 0, and as we all know, never tell anyone the odds in Star Wars. And that kind of concluded our session with the crew, everybody kind of unscathed, having successfully, made it through your adventure, and kind of at a loss for what to do next. I think that a lot of the crew expressed interest in making some money, because credits go, while in Star Wars money is not really, like, as important, I think, as in other places. In the RPG world, money is obviously always a thing. If you were playing D&D, you'd always want to be acquiring gold so you can acquire better things. And I think in the RPG Star Wars, credits do go a long way, probably a lot longer than we see in the movies and the other mediums. So I know multiple members of the group expressed interest in acquiring some money, and I know that there was at least I threw out some places, one place in particular that would probably serve you all well, kind of get you away from Corellia, because I think that was also an interest of the group. Like, yeah, you had solved this thing, but maybe we should kind of, like, get away from the core a little bit so that we can begin to not get embroiled in the politics of what's going on here. So I know there was some interest in that as well. So I guess it leaves me to ask the question for everyone in the party. Is all of that pretty much on point? Everybody perhaps wants to move on, kind of maybe venture out a little bit away from the core, and perhaps go make some credits. I think that is definitely a goal that some people were looking for.
Yeah. Zian needs a lightsaber crystal.
Right, yeah, and at the end of the day, maybe somebody has one, like, in some weird, long-forgotten bazaar, right? Like, maybe you go to some weird backwater planet and somebody's selling one. Like, that's totally a thing that can happen as well. And you also know that at least one of the crew members you've recruited, in air quotes, to kind of help you out with that. Jack's having his ear to the ground on perhaps some of the more kind of shady areas of the galaxy, where perhaps one might have heard these rumors of these powerful crystals that might help you out. So, with that being said, I did name a place, and again, you don't have to go to this place if you don't want to. You can totally just go wherever you want, because I'm okay with that. But I did name a place, Druckenwell, or Druckenwell. I'm sorry, Druckenwell, which is a system or a planet that's located along the Corellian Run that, Jax, you would definitely have some interaction with. And the reason why you would have some interaction with it is they are well-known manufacturers for black market, both black market weapons and, even more specifically, black market, like, assassin droid pieces. They have a lot of droid manufacturing that goes on that planet, which conveniently is perhaps what a couple of our other characters are looking for.
Yeah.
in obviously in the names of Mouse and Kin, in their quest to become better.
Would Jax have a personal, like, is that somewhere where maybe when he was doing his dealings with Mac and his crew, he would have stopped by often? Is that a place where he might have a personal reason to go there as well? Or is
Yeah.
it just, hey, I know this place where we can probably, like,
I would
get a
say,
job, do some shady things?
yeah, I definitely would say you probably have some at some point in the past visited, or at least maybe gone on an information trip, or at least like
Okay, cool.
maybe you were protecting a shipment of something. You definitely have some background with Druckenwell. It is quite close to Arcana Syndicate space, at least closer to Arcana Syndicate than it is to like the core of the Commonwealth. Now, just so everyone's aware, Druckenwell does fall in Commonwealth space. So it falls under all sorts of Commonwealth laws, limits, regulations, etc. The problem is, as we know, even in the times of the Galactic Empire, doesn't matter what's happening, there's always going to be stuff you just can't control and can't crack down on, just because you don't have the power to do so. Like, you don't have the physical amount of people to crack down as much as possible. So a lot of times planetary or planets are kind of left to deal with this sort of thing themselves until it becomes like a faction spanning issue, right? So shady areas exist even within Commonwealth space, and Druckenwell is definitely one of those places. The way that the planet is set up, just to give everybody a brief overview, is it is a series of small continents that are surrounded by very, very large bodies of water. The planet is mostly aquatic, with these kind of smaller continents to maybe even like large island size locations, and each one of these little sporadic islands or continent areas are basically built up completely with man-made cityscapes. So it kind of gives that feel of when you're in the city, it probably is much like Coronet or much like Coruscant, where it is, the tall, overbearing skyscrapers and, tons of traffic in and out and very cramped living conditions. But then there's also, you go out on a speeder in the ocean, and then there's like this huge wide open area where you don't see anything, and there's no light pollution for hundreds and hundreds of miles in every direction. So just kind of get this weird dichotomy between the two areas. Now, the one thing that they did though on Druckenwell that is important to note is, because of the way that their geography is so placed, they made a very, very important point when they were developing the planet to avoid pollution problems. Obviously, it was developed far after Coruscant and the other like large city planets, right? Where they were like, listen, these are the problems that they have. Let's not have those problems. So there are a lot of areas on the planet itself that are designed to help filter out pollutions, to help keep the balance, like or the stability of the environment in check, so that all of the development that's occurred on it doesn't affect the ecosystem very much. And so, for that being said, even though it is mostly an aquatic planet, it's actually probably quite nice to live there. You have all of the creature comforts of living in a city, but you also have this vast, beautiful, oceans that you can explore, and there's probably a whole economy based around the oceans, be it fishermen and kelp harvesters and scientists that want to explore the deep, dark places of the ocean, which I don't know why. They're all just asking to be killed, to be fair. So it's probably quite a pleasant place to be, just in general.
Alright, so Jaxel, I assume we're on the ship, we've headed out of Korea, we're like looking at each other like, what next? Someone said maybe we should try and make some money. And Jax will say, hey, I might have some contacts on Druckenwell who could get us a job, and it's a place I know we can probably find work.
Yeah,
That
and,
sounds good.
Okay,
Good
thank
to
you
know.
for ending that silence.
yeah, and I think that as well. And I don't mind like accelerating this if everybody just is cool with kind of progressing over there, because in Star Wars there's not a whole lot of the downtime where we're like, okay guys, what do we do next? No, it's kind of just like you end up on this other place somewhere.
Screen transition.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's literally like flash screen. You're on a completely different planet doing a completely different thing, which is kind of what happens. But I wanted to make sure that you all as players didn't have anything else you wanted to do, because this is your game. I'm just here to run it. So, barring any outbursts, Dash.
To Druckenwell!
Yeah, to Druckenwell, right? Yeah, so everybody make sure you reset your strain as well. And also, I haven't mentioned obligation on purpose. Just wait. We'll get there.
Just wait.
Just you wait.
Yeah, just wait. We'll get there. But everybody go back to zero current strain, because you all would have rested. Now, Dash, if you want to make a roll, because some of the most interesting things that have happened so far are you failing astrogation rolls. So, so why don't we go ahead and set up a little simple astrogation roll here? It's not going to be particularly hard.
Bad connection. Wait, everyone's sounding like robots.
Oh, okay. You sound fine, which is weird. Seems to only be your receiving that is having robot-y issues.
Yep.
Well, regardless, I don't confuse him talking like a robot.
No, Kai actually sounds normal, and the rest of us sound like robots.
Exactly.
Regardless, let me just set it up. If I have bad connection,
Yeah.
setting it up, at least I'll roll.
Yeah. So just to speak real quickly, Druckenwell is literally on the Corellian run. It's very well mapped, so it's just going to be an easy check, just to make sure nothing like significantly bad happens. So why don't you go ahead and roll that whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, we
So-
get there.
yeah,
quick.
Yeah, you get there a little bit quicker than you were probably anticipating with the two advantages and the two successes here. So perhaps the opening scene is like everybody returns to the ship. You all, probably have a little bit of a celebration. And then the next thing we see is like the ship's taking off and RK is like waving goodbye to all of you. And like he goes off to do whatever he's doing, and you all are alone again. And then we see the hyperspace lines flying past the ship cockpit. And we find ourselves staring at Drunken. I typed Drunkenwell. It's so hard for me not to call it that for whatever reason, and that is just what I want to call it. I even typed it like that on Roll20. Druckenwell. So we see ourselves looking at Druckenwell, and this is the actual quote unquote actual overview of what the planet looks like. You see these like island to continent size land masses surrounded by vast oceans, and almost all of these island and landmass areas are completely developed. There's very little like greenery or anything like that exists within the planet itself. Also, I'm going to put this here so we're all aware.
Wait, which is this place?
This is Druckenwell. Place you're all going to. Just so y'all can keep track of your destiny. So, you've all arrived, and you begin your descent. Now, obviously, the place to probably go is the capital city. Which is definitely, like, obviously the most well-known place that you're going to get to. The name of the capital city on this planet is... Hold on, it's Avali is the name of it.
Is that the most nefarious of the cities?
Avali. Here's the thing. Nefarious is probably not the best term for, like, how this planet operates. this planet operates with there are a lot of black market deals that happen. But like I said before, since a lot of them happen here and they're relatively, not that they're relatively like low value or low key, the fact that they are so kind of removed from the core worlds, stuff just kind of happens wherever it ends up. But Avali is definitely the place that you would like want to go to just get your bearings, because then you could always go anywhere else as well.
Okay.
It's kind of like if you go to Corellia, you go to Coronet first, and then if something else comes up, you go there. But I actually want to extend the offer for you, Mulan, since you want to show off your fancy new skills at knowing things. If you want to roll a knowledge underworld check,
Sure.
you could gain maybe some names or some information on some of the perhaps more lucrative things that occur on this planet that you could maybe get involved in. It's going to be an average check, and you can roll it whenever you want.
Can I make an argument for a boost dice because I've been here before?
I think that's a valid argument. I'll give you one.
So if just out of character info, so if he gets a good roll, that might lead to a better I guess adventure hook. Is that how we're doing this?
So it's more like you might get knowledge of a couple of different ones. I wouldn't say anyone are like more lucrative or less lucrative than the other ones, but this is to like kind of know the the underworld version of this planet and know kind of what path you can take to find some things, because there are a bunch of things going on this planet anyway.
Cool. You ready?
Yep.
Don't know shit as usual.
So, yeah, I think that when you arrive here, you guys are kind of just cruising perhaps through the main city looking for a place to dock, and
Jax goes, "Look over there," and there's just nothing.
Yeah, I
It's
think
just
that
the ocean.
how it works here is, even though you've been here before, maybe your job didn't take you to this location, right? Like maybe you didn't actually have a whole lot of interaction while you were here. Maybe it was simply just like you're there, you're gonna protect this package that then goes to this place, and that's it.
We had a pilot, and Jax was not that pilot.
Right, exactly. You weren't involved, and probably appropriately, you weren't involved in like the deals that were being made, right? You were just the gun standing outside the door. But I think that this is one that's known to everybody, so you don't get perhaps any of like the really small details, but one that would be fairly obvious that everyone would kind of know. And it's not because you failed you're getting this; it's because everyone would know this. There is a company called SGI Incorporated. Now, SGI Incorporated is particularly the manufacturing company that develops black market assassin droid components primarily. They have their hands in a lot of different pies, obviously, but their like corporate headquarters are located here on planet, and it's common knowledge that their corporate headquarters.
From chat, FYI.
That's fine. And it's well known that their corporate headquarters are located on this planet, even by people that are like on the lawful end of things. The problem is not dissimilar to like how Lucia Janis runs her corporation. Yes, everybody kind of knows they make black market assassin droid parts, but no one can ever really like tie much back to them, or they don't want to get into the hassle of like trying to shut them down, because it would take so many resources to shut down this corporation that manufactures these, that it's probably a more political game than it is like a get in there and actually do things like physically game. So they're probably their battles are fought with pen and paper and lawyers, as opposed to being fought with blasters and thermal detonators. But they definitely always are looking for like people who want to make a quick buck. And they prefer, in a lot of cases, because of the type of business that they do, they prefer in a lot of cases to have people who are not associated with them at all, right? so that when something goes wrong, they can be like, we don't know those people. Like, that seems like a them problem, not an us problem. So that's probably, like, you get here, Jax, and you're like, I don't actually remember who the people we were dealing with before were, but I know, like, there's this company that we could probably go, like, find basically a mercenary job for if we wanted to. Now, this isn't counting you out yet. You can, like, go scope the place out. You can maybe go find some, some dens, maybe find a cantina, because that's obviously where everybody has everything having on. There's probably some crime lords in the area somewhere. There always is in anywhere ever in Star Wars. There's always a crime lord somewhere that you can go talk to find some stuff going on. So it's kind of whatever you want to do, but at least you have that small hook so far.
So I would imagine that every time Jax came here, he probably went to some diner or cantina with Mac when Mac would be looking for information, jobs, whatever. And while because of the failure, I'd say Jax probably wouldn't know who to look for. He'd probably at least know where he probably would remember, like, the name of the establishment where Mac would go. So, try and find a cantina of some sort.
Yeah, no, the cantina's name is the Exotic. That's just what it's named.
Cool.
And it's probably here in Avali, which, by the way, if anybody wants to take notes, that's how you spell Avali, the capital city of this planet. Cool. So, let's just let me just do this properly, I guess. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. So Avali is probably,
how do you
like,
spell the name of the planet? Because I definitely just said Drunkenwell as well.
Yeah, so it's actually Druckenwell. Druckenwell.
Okay.
It's very confusing, and always makes me think it says Trump.
I was kind of hoping the bar would be named Drunken.
Yeah, maybe. But so you probably know there's like it's probably not a spice den level of, it's probably like just a shady cantina perhaps. And Avali takes up a very, very vast amount of space, as you can see there. It's basically like half of this larger continent piece on the planet. Probably similar in size to Coronet, just is a general, like, where the districts are. Again, most of the rest...
The entire place is just a city, or is it...
Yeah, so the entire place is basically just cityscape. And where it's not is probably also cityscape, but perhaps not the massive, like, skyscrapers. There's probably only a couple of levels. But almost the entirety of all the landmass on this planet is developed. There's very little actual greenery, even though the map kind of shows there is.
Jax will turn to people and be, there's a cantina where my old boss, he'll say boss, where my old boss used to go find info and jobs. Maybe we should check that out.
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool. So Dash, you put down the ship relatively close to that location, and you begin your trek. And I think that, like, as you all get out of the ship, you take, like, a deep breath of, like, this very fresh, very clean air, which is probably weird because Coronet isn't the most polluted, but it is a big city, and it kind of has that, like, level of smog to it. And being locked inside the ship for however long it took you to travel through hyperspace to get here also gives that kind of stale, like, recycled air feeling. So stepping out onto the planet is refreshing for those of you that breathe. And so that's probably, like, nice. You take the deep breath and everything is great. And then you begin to kind of descend into the bowels of the city itself. And it's very, very similar to all other big major cities or at least in the core systems, right? In the Commonwealth, where, yeah, there's probably a couple of panhandlers that you see, and some of the streets and alleyways aren't probably completely clean. There's I think that one thing that stands out to everybody as you're just kind of like maneuvering through the city is there's a lot of automation here. Perhaps even a fair bit more than Coronet, the last big city you guys were in. You see a lot of droids that are probably operating like grav lifts that are moving supplies around. There's probably a lot of like there's probably definitely some open to the street bars and stuff, which is like a bunch of stools that kind of sit around, and behind the counters almost like 9 times out of 10 is a droid bartender who's like, you know, moving up and down the shelves and pouring the drinks in very precise amounts and, you know, giving their drinks and accepting the credit exchange. Restaurants have probably as many droid servers as non-droid servers.
Looking at the droids around her, are there a lot of different types of droids, custom droids?
So a lot of them, you can tell that most droids are built specifically for whatever purpose they're serving, right? Like the bartender droids are probably like on rails that kind of roll in and out of where the bar is, and they have specific like, you know, appendages that grab drinks and like measuring utensils. The ones that are servers probably like instead of having an arm, they probably have a tray to load food and drinks on that they can then bring and, you know, to the tables. So I think that distinctly everything, all of the droids appear built for very specific purposes. The grav sleds that are like maneuvering around probably are not being like pushed by droids. There's probably just like a droid brain that's operating the sled, with like probably a couple of like arms that then can move pallets and stuff on and off the sled itself. But I would say that, surprising to you perhaps, they all look to be kind of the same make, if that makes sense. Most of them are probably, again, Druckenwell, just in general, is pretty massive on droid manufacturing, of all different types. So you probably definitely see a couple of different, like, manufacturers, but probably all within the same, like, they're different manufacturers, but they're only different in the sense, like, they have a different logo on them. They still look almost identical to the other ones.
Yeah.
Okay. But they all are probably locally sourced. So it actually it probably makes you, Kin, more than the other members of your crew. It probably makes you stand out the most out of your crew. Because you're not, like, serving a function like all of the other droids are.
Am I getting a lot of looks, or...?
Yeah, I would say roll a perception check. I'll make it average.
Right.
Get rid of this boost dice. I'm ready whenever you are.
Oh.
Ooh.
So I have an idea. I have an idea for your triumph here.
Yeah.
But if you have an idea of what you want, that's totally okay.
No. Just,
okay. So your success is yes, you're getting a lot of looks. There's a lot of people that are like, they're probably doing that thing where like they look at you, or there's probably a point at which somebody comes up to you and is like, you know, excuse me, droid, can you tell me where I need to go? Because they think you're like some sort of information droid that's like walking around, and then they realize like you're not, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry, and like, you know, leave. Now you're gonna take 2 strain, and the reason you're gonna take 2 strain in this scenario is you notice someone who's following you. And maybe not specifically you, and it's hard to tell, like, it's not that they're following you, right? They're not, like, shadowing you, but you begin to see the same person multiple times on multiple different streets, and it's too much to be a coincidence. Some distinct features about this individual are, they appear to be in full ceramic armor, and they are very clearly of Mandalorian make. All their ceramic armor is very clearly Mandalorian. And you can also tell that it's a woman as well, much more slender of a build. But probably what your eyes fall on the most is strapped to her back is probably the biggest heavy blaster rifle you've ever seen. And like, you probably see her once where she's just kind of, like, walking around, and there are other people that are armed and other people that are, you know, walking around in armor, and so, like, it's not that that's the fact that like, kind of stands out to you, but what does stand out to you is that you see her, maybe she passes you on the street one time, and then as you're, like, you know, maybe you're stopping to, like, coordinate with the, like, the space dock, like, to, you know, okay, we're gonna be parked here for about this amount of time, then you see her with, like, a pack and walking away from you guys, and then perhaps you see her sitting at one of those, like, open bars, right, and she doesn't have a drink in front of her, she's just kind of, like, sitting there, and then you see her again later, maybe, like, looking at, like, down at some marketplace items, from the marketplace. So, you know, it's just, it becomes too much to be a coincidence, and as we know, nothing is coincidence in Star Wars.
Yeah, so Kim will wait for a moment where he can nudge Jax without being seen and just mention there are some heavy artillery following us.
Vigilance check.
To what exactly?
To confirm call out. I
think he's just telling Jax at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I'm there, so.
Okay, I'm trying to think if Jax would want to think or want to pretend like he already knew that. Nah, fuck it. So Jax will very kind of coyly look behind, look, see what Kim's talking about, be like, that's a big fucking gun.
Oh, well, Jax,
fucking.
I don't know if you would even say that, because you recognize who this is, 100%.
Oh, shit.
And I think that when you recognize who this is, that's when I'm going to trigger obligation on everybody. So, everybody reduce your obligation threshold by 1, and Jax reduce yours by 2.
Mine up by...
No, you reduce yours by 2.
Alright.
Yeah, and the obligation that is triggered here for you is your obsession to become more of a member of Arcanus, because you recognize this individual immediately as a member of the Arcanus Syndicate. In fact, you probably know her, I wouldn't say well, but you definitely remember her. And just to give everybody an image now, her name is Mai Strika. Everybody can see this image of her with her massive blaster rifle.
Does she have a mustache?
And
it does look like
it does not. So Mai Strika, you know her as essentially she is the rival cleaner crew. So what you used to do in the Arcanus Syndicate, her group were your rivals at that point.
Okay.
And if we're
That's
just
pretty
saying,
popular right about now.
yeah,
Pricks.
if we were just saying that maybe if you guys were the best, they were always at your heels, right? Like, and now
we were
reasonably,
the best, obviously,
right? Reasonably, now that your group doesn't exist anymore,
yeah,
you recognize the fact that the top cleaner crew from Arcanus Syndicate is in town and also apparently following you.
Cool. How do I spell her name?
Her name is Mai Strika.
Yeah, I definitely spelled that wrong.
So, you recognize her immediately, and when you recognize her is probably when she's also looking at you, like kind of in that same moment. Do you make any like indication of recognition?
I'm gonna just straight up approach her.
Yeah, and
with
so
with a smile on my face, right? So we were probably in rival crews, but like we still worked for the same people. So it was probably like a friendly rivalry. Or not.
If that's how you want to think of it, yes.
Okay.
Her thoughts will be her own, but yes.
Yeah. Okay. Was she a member of it, or was she the leader of it?
She was the leader of that crew.
Okay.
So
yeah,
you kind of deviate. Now I have to ask, Dash and Zian, like, you see like Kin like leans down and whispers something, and then Jax like looks over and then like gets a smile on his face and then like diverts over in that direction. Do you say anything, or are you just like, oh, okay, we're going over here now?
Yeah, I'll probably just follow his lead because he knows what he's doing on this planet.
Sure.
Figure maybe, this is somebody he recognized from the cantina or something.
Sure. So you, Jax, you head over there, and as you head over there, you see she takes her fingers like under her helmet and takes it off, and as she does, her hair kind of like drops down, and she's got kind of this auburn, maybe like hazel colored, slightly longer than shoulder length hair. She has, I would say, a pretty face, but she has like kind of a nasty scar that runs along her jawline, on the right hand side, that kind of makes it look like she's got a permanent frown almost, resting bitch face to the extreme, if we were being honest there.